Octonauts and the marine iguanas. Tulip and the Vegemils were working hard in the garden pod. "This red seaweed will make a yummy treat at the seaweed feast this year," smiled Shellington. "Let's go and check in with the captain." Captain Barnacles was hard at work. There was a lot to do before the seaweed feast. "We're near the Galapagos Islands," announced Dashi. "Shall we hold the feast there?" "This island only seems to have rocks and these iguanas," she added. "I think we can stay out of their way." Up on the rocky island, a group of marine iguanas were feeling rather hungry. "Okay, boys," said the biggest one. "I found a clump of fat, juicy seaweed that's just waiting to be eaten." "Where?" cried the others. "Down there," grinned the boss. "It's growing in an orangey thingy, but I guess that's just how it grows. Let's do lunch." The marine iguanas dived down to the octopod. "Seaweed!" they cried, pressing their noses against the glass of the garden pod. The hungry creatures quickly found a way in. "This way, boys," whispered the iguana leader. Up in the HQ, a light flashed on Dashi's screen. Somebody had broken into the octopod. Barnacles frowned. "Sound the octo alert!" The Octonauts hurtled down to the garden pod. "Our seaweed!" gasped Peso. "It's gone!" Captain Barnacles started hunting for clues. "Look at these strange claw prints and long, wet tail tracks." Dashi prodded a lump of goo. "And over here," she called. "It looks like slimy salt." The Octonauts had just enough seaweed left for the seaweed feast. Quasi sped down to the kitchen, putting himself on guard outside the door. "Those scurvy seaweed snatchers won't get past me," he promised. Back on the island, the marine iguanas' tummies were starting to rumble all over again. "Who's up for a snack?" said their leader. Moments later, Quasi heard a crash in the kitchen. "The seaweed, he yelled. "It's gone!" The flustered cat slipped in a puddle of wet, gooey salt. A spiny tail flicked up into the cooker hood. Quasi tugged on the tail with all his might. "Octonauts!" he bellowed. "I need some help!" Dashi skidded into the kitchen and grabbed onto Quasi's middle. "We need backup!" she shouted. Shellington, Professor Inkling and Peso all rushed in to join the tug-of-war. The last seaweed-stuffed iguana was trying to escape from the octopod. "Something's got me!" he yelped. The iguanas grabbed their friend and pulled as hard as they could. Pop! The marine iguana's tail finally wiggled free. "Come on," he cried. "Let's get out of here." Barnacles scrambled to the gut bay. "Octonauts," he commanded. "Let's follow them." While the gut bay chased after the intruders, Shellington did some research. "There's only one kind of iguana here in the Galapagos, and its favourite food is seaweed," he decided. "Those thieves have got to be marine iguanas." The marine iguanas led the gut bay into a thick kelp forest. "Turn off the propeller, Quasi," said Barnacles. "We don't want to get stuck." Too late. The sub was already in a terrible tangle. "We can't get out," cried Shellington. "The hatch won't open." The marine iguana scuttled back to take a look at the grounded gup. "I think we should help them," said the smallest iguana. Barnacles had an idea. "Excuse me, marine iguanas," he called. "How would you like a juicy seaweed snack?" The iguanas got nibbling. Soon they chomped through all the seaweed that was wrapped around the gut bay. "Sorry we ate your food," said the leader. "We didn't know it was yours." "If our red seaweed is gone," sighed Peso, "then we can't have a seaweed feast." The marine iguanas grinned. There was a lot more seaweed near these islands. "Come on," said the leader. "We'll show you where the good stuff is." The seaweed feast is back on, cheered Barnacles, and this year we have some very special guests. The smallest iguana agreed with a salty sneeze. Achoo! Backfile, the marine iguana. The marine iguana only lives in the Galapagos Islands. When it's hungry, it dives into the ocean for food. It lives in rocky reefs and shallow water. It eats algae and seaweed. Octofacts. The seaweed that the marine iguana eats is very salty, so it sneezes out the extra salt. Sometimes the salt lands on its head, making a funny white splotch. The marine iguana is the only type of iguana that can swim. Iguana.